Well, how we all doing today? Brian Stevens here with the National Real Estate Post. Hope you guys are all having a great day. I certainly know I am. And Thomas, do me a favor.
What's up?
Can I borrow your computer for a few minutes?
Hi, Allison. Is this Allison?
Hope we're all having a good day. I have a presentation that I'm actually going to share with you. And
But I'll call you back in about 20 minutes.
really what it is I want to talk about the mortgage space and how we perceive things. Because I think there's a number of different misconceptions out there. And I think we have solutions for those misconceptions. And so I want to jump into this. Can you pull up the Frank and Brian site, please? So I can just kind of see what's going. Yeah. Frank Ray and Brian Stevens. I want to see who's on here and what we're, who's participating. That's what I want to see. And again, I have a full-blown presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in just a couple of minutes. And let's go down here. Cool. All right, who do we got? Oh, is it not showing my live yet? How interesting.
Here. Click the bell.
Hang tight. Oh, here we go. All right. Perfect. Okay, what's that? That's fine. Okay, I'd want to see who's on here. All right, well, hey, listen, we're going to jump into this right now. So I can't, because I'm running this through Streamlabs right now, I'm not seeing anybody's chat. So if you, okay, so yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions as we're going forward with this. I will jump in and out of the presentation. I'll try to make it quicker than I would otherwise do it, but let's jump into this thing right now. Okay. Okay, so I had this epiphany the other day, and the epiphany was that technology makes everything better, faster, and cheaper. And I've talked about this with you guys ad nauseum for quite some time. There's an assumption out there that this is always the case. Well, is it always the case? Does technology always make things better, faster, and cheaper? And the answer is no. So have you ever tried to cancel a hotel room that you got through a third-party vendor? Have you ever tried to get a refund? You know, those type of things. Have you ever bought a pair of shoes and they just didn't fit right? Don't you just love having to stick those things back in the mail and ship them off? So that is imagine a world where I didn't have to buy my shoes online. Imagine a world where I could actually just go down to a place that sold shoes and I can go ahead and touch all the shoes and then I could try them on and pick the pair that fits me the best. Would you be willing to pay a premium for that? But for some reason, we've kind of lost the whole idea of retail. But when you talk with most people, the idea is that technology makes everything better, faster, and cheaper. But I want to tell you something different. Is technology, how it's being utilized today, is just a simple asset broker. That's what technology is. Not all the time, not for everything, but for consumption, technology has become nothing more than an asset broker. And an asset broker, by the way, guys, is just a middleman. Here's what I'm talking about. Remember like when Fandango came out? Why do I have to go to Fandango to buy a movie ticket? Why couldn't I just go to my AMC movie theater online there and buy a ticket directly from them? The only thing that Fandango serves a purpose for doing is to take a part of the profits that the movie theater would otherwise get and centralize those profits in one area and redistribute that money to their investors. Because I can guarantee you every movie theater has their own ticketing site on their own webpage. But Fandango has created a brand for itself that leaves most of these movie theaters requires most of these movie theaters to use their services because the brand Fandango has become synonymous with movie tickets. What about Yelp? Did you guys know, if you've ever traveled out of town, and by the way, I've been on the road now for the past month. I've been in 5 states doing a variety of different things. But when you're out of town, what do you do if you want to have a certain type of food? You go onto Yelp. Did you know that when you go onto Yelp and you call that restaurant through Yelp, that Yelp tracks that and they take a portion of that restaurant's proceeds? So all we're doing is taking money out of our local businesses and we're giving it to these asset brokers that are all tech-based. That's all they are. What is eBay doing? You want to sell your stuff? You can certainly go ahead and use eBay's site. They're an asset broker. That's what they're doing, and they're going to take part of your proceeds. Travelocity, an asset broker. I can go to Southwest. I can go to Delta Airlines, bookings.com. You get the idea. When this really came to me is when I was looking at this commercial for Carvana. Now, if you've never seen Carvana before, it's basically a vending machine that sells cars. But Carvana is an online asset broker. What do? They're going to take part of the proceeds from Chevy, from Ford, from Honda, Toyota. They're taking money out of the company who's actually creating the goods and services that we're doing and that we're using. Now, Carvana actually came out and said, well, we want to buy your car. If you want to sell your car hassle-free, you can just sell your car right to Carvana. And I thought, boy, isn't that interesting? It's exactly what's going on in the real estate community right now, too. And it's exactly what's going on in mortgage lending right now, too. See, Carvana will buy my car, but they're not going to pay me retail, are they? They're not going to pay me for what my car is worth, because what they're going to do is buy low and sell high. That's how the model works. OfferPad, an asset broker. Open Door is an asset broker, and Zillow has turned into, yes, an asset broker. But you notice as time has gone on, we started out with items that were very inexpensive, and we've moved to items that are very expensive. We're talking about Fandango. Remember, Amazon started as a place where you could buy discounted books. An asset broker nevertheless, but they've turned into so much more. And did you know right now that you could become a partner over at Amazon? You can actually go and buy stuff, and they'll tell you what you should buy. Like, you can go to your 99-cent store and buy a bunch of crap there and put it all up on Amazon and ship all that stuff out. And then, of course, Amazon's going to take a piece of the pie. They're asset brokers. Now, some of these are great services, and some of them are extremely helpful. But some of them have created a need where there was no need in the first place. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm guilty of using all of these companies. And I'm not just sitting here and bitching about technology. Technology does serve a purpose, but it doesn't always make things better, faster, and cheaper. And the operative term right here is cheaper. It might make things faster, especially in the real estate space, but it doesn't make it better. If you can close a deal, if you can actually close a deal, a transaction in 5 days, you have to cut corners to make that happen. You just do. If you're actually trying to sell your house. This is interesting because I'm going to release a show on the National Real Estate Post tomorrow, and I forget what the name of the company is, but this is interesting. There's a company that's out there, and they say they're revolutionizing the mortgage space. They're revolutionizing it. And it has Spencer Raskoff, the past CEO of Zillow, and it has the past CEO of Trulia as major investors for this new mortgage company. And so I'm like, wow, they raised $70 million. They haven't written one loan yet, but they've got the right pedigree behind them, don't they? So how are they going to revolutionize the mortgage industry? One, they're not going to do refinances. Two, they're going to only work in specific communities. That would be an ECOA and a HMDA violation, just to let you know. But they only want to work in certain neighborhoods, and I guarantee you they're not the poor ones. And the third thing, the revolutionary thing that they're going to do is they're going to close your loan in 21 days. Brilliant, isn't it? But they're revolutionizing the mortgage space, which I find interesting because when you listen to their verbiage on their site that they're marketing to right now, it says, aren't you sick of the old ways? Isn't it just a hassle, a pain in the ass? Well, we've got a new revolutionary way to do this. They're not doing anything any other lender in the country is doing. They're going to try to close a deal in 21 days. But here's the thing. This preys on people's belief that technology makes everything better, faster, and cheaper. It really does. And they will find a certain level of success, and they're doing it by smearing every other lender across the country right now. That's what they're doing. They're saying, you're the old way, you're the crappy way, come with us. We've got the technology thing working over here. And what we're doing, again, is we are taking technology and people's built-in assumptions of it, and we started out small with sites that sell books, with sites that sell reviews on restaurants, where you can go ahead and get tickets to a movie. Then you can get tickets on a plane, and now we've got up to the point to where we're dealing with people's finances and buying and selling homes. Again, nothing more than asset brokers. So here's the question that I pose to you. Who's the apex predator in your world as a mortgage lender? Is it you? Who do you see the big one out there? And I think people by and large would say it's Rocket Mortgage. They're the ones who are closing more deals than anybody. They're the ones who are making more money than everyone. They're the ones who have, the most state-of-the-art technology out there. They're generally viewed negatively in the mortgage space, and they're generally viewed negatively in the real estate space as well, because we understand that they've taken an industry that requires a professional who understands different products, and we've just turned it into an assembly line. And so when we look at Rocket, is it better? Is it faster? Is it cheaper? I don't know. I think a lot of people would say it's none of those, at least on a retail end. And again, I'm not here to bash them. I'm not here to compliment them. I'm just here to say that we would probably all regard them as the apex predator in the mortgage space right now. But the question is, are they? Now, I've showed this to you before, and stick with me on this, guys. I've showed this to you before. What you're looking at right now is this is a OfferPad settlement sheet. Okay. Okay, and the reason I'm showing you these is because this is an open door settlement sheet. Isn't it interesting how we spent billions of dollars on TRID, and then these companies can go out there and just do whatever they want, offer whatever they want, however they want? I find that very interesting how they can do this. Because you as a mortgage lender, you couldn't get away with this shit, but they can. Here's what I wanted to show you. Now, from these settlement sheets right here from OfferPad and Open Door, I want you to see something right here. The top one is Open Door. So that would be a commission, what a real estate agent would generally charge, but Open Door is calling that an experience charge. They're changing the language to further manipulate people. It's $19,434. They have a SCRB repairs cost of $6,000. I don't know what that's for. By the way, that Open Door experience charge, which would be a real estate commission, that's 7.5%. And then they have an Open Door market risk fee. So if $19,400 is 7.5, and we add another 10, that's at least another 5. So you're looking at charges here of about 12%. Now, this also doesn't take into consideration that they're buying houses for 75 cents on the dollar. So they're charging 12% in this case, somewhere around there, and they're buying the house for less than what the market value of that would be. So when we look at the technology platform Open Door as a company, are they better? No. Are they faster? Certainly they're faster. Are they cheaper? And the answer is hell no. Now the second one is OfferPad. And you'll see with OfferPad, they call it a credit to buyer of 7.5%. That would be what we would otherwise call a commission. And then they have repair credit, $5,700. Now, I want to ask every loan officer out there, have you ever had somebody whose credit needed to be repaired to the tune of $5,750? I mean, ever? I mean, you would have to have like a 300 credit score. You would have to have effed everything up and then been in credit repair for 20 years. So are they better? No. Are they faster? Sure. Are they cheaper? And the answer is absolutely no. The third one down here, this is from a couple of years ago, but this is from a quarterly report that Zillow is intended for Zillow investors. It's not intended for consumer use. It's not intended for real estate use, but this is intended to show what Zillow is trying to accomplish. And they say they're averaging approximately 7%. By the way, in the second quarter of this year, it went up to 7.5%. So again, better, faster, cheaper, and it's the same answer. When you're working with a local real estate agent, it's 5% on average as of 2018. And you'll notice that real estate commissions go up and down every year because depending on the market, there's more money on the table, less money on the table. So again, I'm talking to lenders here. I'm trying to give you a backstory here. So the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has this thing called Office of Innovation, okay? Now, the reason why these companies can get away with this type of crap that you can't get away with is because Their technology companies in the Office of Innovation at the Bureau, is they have a congressional mandate to engage technology to the benefit of consumers. So this is right from the CFPB site, creating policies and sandboxes through which we reduce potential barriers to innovation. Now, I've talked about this before. A sandbox, it's called a sandbox law, by the way. A sandbox is you could build a castle, and if you F it up, you can go ahead and kick it over and start again. That's the idea of sandbox with technology. That's why technology firms who are jumping into the mortgage space and the real estate space can get away with shit that you can't get away with, because they're held to a different set of standards. Where if they do something that doesn't work well for consumers, well, they're protected by sandbox laws. Because we don't want to have barriers to innovation, because technology at all cost is more important than doing a good job in protecting communities and protecting buyers and sellers. Now, this is directly from the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, talking about technology. Now, I went through their presentation on this thing from the CFPB, and I would like you to look at what I underlined. Such permissions may include providing a legal safe harbor. Okay? So, for these technology firms who are doing mortgages, they have a legal safe harbor. If they F things up, doesn't matter. They got a safe harbor through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The Bureau may deem a covered person conducting such a program to be in compliance with or exempt from a requirement of a rule or enumerated consumer law. This is what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Bureau to Protect Consumers' Finances, saying, well, if you want to get a mortgage and you're working with one of these technology firms, they might be in compliance with, or they might be exempt from laws that the rest of the industry is regulated by. It's kind of like letting them cheat, isn't it? It's kind of like letting them cork their bats. Now, look at the second part that I underlined here. Similarly, although Bureau rules must provide for public disclosure of such programs, listen to this, such public disclosure may be limited to the extent necessary to encourage covered persons to conduct effective trials. So they're saying generally we should probably disclose this shit that you're doing, like you're doing this shit to people where you might have to follow the rules or you might be exempt from them. You have a safe harbor. And for the people who you're testing these things on, you might tell them that you're testing things on them, or you might not tell them. You might not tell them, and it might be better if you don't tell them, because we want to make sure that those conducting these different technology platforms are effective in their endeavors at the expense of the very consumers that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is talking about protecting. I find this very disturbing. I find this extremely disturbing. By the way, these sandbox laws all came from the Office of Innovation within the state of Arizona. They're the ones who came up with the fintech sandbox laws. And by the way, it's very clearly why all of these financial technology firms are doing more business in Arizona than any other state, because they were allowed to run fast and loose with the rules in Arizona before they could do it in other states. The sandbox enables a participant to obtain limited access to Arizona's markets to test innovative financial products or services without first obtaining full state licensures, or other authorizations that otherwise might be required. Do you not find this disturbing? I do. And what about your community, the people who would otherwise work with you? Do you like the fact that your friends might be guinea pigs? Because that's what they're doing. And what does being a guinea pig look like right now? Well, I just showed you guys, didn't I? It looks pretty goddamn expensive, doesn't it? But as part of the Office of Innovation within the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, They are exempt from laws that you have to follow, and they do or don't, whatever they choose, have to disclose, or they don't have to disclose to your clients if they want to or they don't want to. What's most important is they're a technology platform, and the CFPB has a congressional statutory obligation to go ahead and jump in bed with technology at all cost. And I'm just telling you, from my vantage point, this whole thing looks like a train wreck. Okay. So here's why I tell you this. Again, offer pads, home loans. Let's get started. Open Door Home Loans. Welcome to Open Door Home Loans. What would you like to do? Zillow. Here's what their mortgage, this is from their last quarterly report. Their revenue is $68 million. And their segment loss before income taxes, $2 million. They're writing everything off. Mortgage revenue is $68 million in the first quarter, exceeded our outlook, increasing by 169% year over year. Mortgage origination volume is up 90%, of which came in from refinances, which makes perfect sense. Now, these numbers aren't impressive. I know that. Like, these numbers are not impressive. Oh, they're doing 68 million. Shit, I know individuals are doing more than 68 million. I know people who could lap Zillow, individual loan officers. So we shouldn't really care about them, should we? Outside of the fact that, again, do they have to play by the same rules that you do? But here's why you should be concerned about it. Here's their numbers. Their average uniquely monthly users, 221 million. Zillow's getting more people looking at mortgages than every mortgage company in the country combined times 10, and that includes Rocket. They're massive. They made $181 million in consolidated revenue of $1.2 billion. So he who has the eyeballs has the biggest opportunity to go ahead and take market share as things change. And again, remember, we believe we have a built-in inherent bias towards technology that it makes everything better, that it makes everything cheaper, that it makes everything faster. And I just put on full display for you guys that that's not the case. So stop looking at these as real estate companies, lenders right now. You know, when we hear about the Zillows out there, when we hear about the Open Doors, the offer pads, stop looking at these companies as real estate or fintech companies, because they are all mortgage companies. And they're all better financed than all of you. And they're all controlling a whole bunch of eyeballs. And they're being held to a different standard than you are. And they're also doing things that your mortgage company isn't doing. And that's buying and selling these houses to keep people out of contingencies. And the last time I heard is right now, if you have a contingent offer, you ain't going to be able to buy crap. So they're not playing by the rules. And they're also doing things that frankly are more innovative. They're just using it to, you know, just put your clients, your friends, people in your community over a barrel. But they're doing things that are attractive for people who don't understand how mortgages and real estate work. So I ask you once again, who's the apex predator in our world? The mortgage space. Is it you? I'll tell you right now, you better start looking closely at these fintech companies, because they're coming at mortgages. They're coming hard. They're heavily financed. And they don't have to play by the same rules. And they're buying and selling houses, which your mortgage company isn't doing. And understand this. I don't want to, again, we're going to start off and I'm going to explain the problem, and then we're going to start talking about what the solution is. But I want you to understand this. As a mortgage loan officer, I mean, if you're a broker, no, your company doesn't want to fire you. But if you're not a broker, your company basically wants to fire you. They would, because, I mean, listen, it's not that you don't do a great job. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they don't appreciate you. It's none of those things. But you as the mortgage loan officer are the most expensive component in any transaction. If they could find a way to reduce their costs to increase their profits, they certainly would. The problem is that they need you, so they're not going to fire you. But just understand that. And I say this because I've spoken with a whole bunch of mortgage companies around this country, a lot of them. And they all want to develop a retail component to what they do, where they have call centers and they just deal with transactions that way, where they're putting somebody on an hourly pay scale, then maybe a small, bonus per file close type of thing, where they can go ahead and keep more of the money. So just understand this, like your company, though they love and appreciate you, and truth be told, if they could find a way to increase their profits by reducing their costs, they would, and you're their biggest cost. So how do you make yourself indispensable as a loan officer in a world where you're competing against companies that, again, don't play by the rules, who are heavily financed, and there's a built-in bias that they're better than what you do, which they're not. They're not even close. Working for a company that would like to reduce their costs. What can you as a loan officer do? You need to get small. Not big, get small. So I think with my interview with Dave Stevens that I did a month ago, I think we were talking about the mortgage space dropping about 30% this year and 30% next year. That's why everyone's talking about margin compression right now, because those hired gun processors who could pick and choose where they wanted to work and what they wanted to make are the first ones who are going to be on the chopping block when production of these mortgage companies start going down. The best thing that you can do, loan officers, is you need to go small. And I've talked about this again ad nauseum, and I'm going to explain a little bit more. But when you're looking at the Zillows, the Open Doors, and the OfferPads, and these mortgage companies, these financial technology mortgage companies who aren't playing by the same rules, when we talk about them, they can only do things on a macro scale. They can't do anything on a micro scale because they're not in your community. They don't know your barber. They don't know your barista. They don't know your bartender. They don't know your waitress. They don't know the teachers. They don't know the cops. They don't know the first responders. They don't know these people, and they'll never be able to know them. So they have to have everything big. Do you remember when COVID first hit? The first thing all these fintech companies did is they tried to get out of every single one of their contracts on every single house that they were in the process of trying to purchase. And they broke contracts left and right. Why? Because there was uncertainty in the market and they didn't want to get caught with their pants down because they didn't know how long this damn thing was going to go on or what it was going to do to the economy. And because they don't give two shits about anybody in your community, any of your clients, any of your friends, all of these people are just line items on spreadsheets. They went and broke the contracts because it's all, it's the most important thing is to make profits. And they have to do this for their shareholders. I've talked about that ad nauseum. So don't compete with them on their terms. Compete on your terms. Go small when they go big. Go micro. Because in a good market right now, listen, you guys had banner years last year. Closing 15 deals a month is not normal. It's not normal. In a normal market, your average loan officer is closing 2 to 3 transactions per month. I mean, sometimes you'll close 1, sometimes you'll close 7, but that's the idea. So, I mean, if you went small and went smart and you closed 7 deals a month on average and you were making, I don't know, 1.5 points, 1.75, 2 points, whatever it is, somewhere in there. If you're making 1 3/4 on everything that you were closing and you close 7 transactions a month, congratulations. I mean, well, out here, you're making almost $1 million a year. But at 7 deals a month in any market that you're working in, it just doesn't matter. It's all relative. It could be somewhere in the Midwest where the average sales price for a house is $180,000, or it could be out here in California where it's $900,000. If you're making 1.5 points, you are living at the top of the food chain in your community. And when you go small, these companies can't compete with you. You become much more complicated for them to try to compete with than they are for you to compete with. You guys control this whole damn thing if you understand the game that you're playing. And what it is we need to start very slowly, because I know we're still having a great year and we're still going to have refinances. It looks like half this COVID Delta goddamn thing is going to start locking things down again. And if that starts happening, rates are not going to go up. Everybody's projecting that rates are going to go up by 0.75% by the end of the year. Well, with this Delta variant, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. I'm telling you right now. Everyone's saying rates are going up. You just watch. So we're still going to have a banner year. I'm just telling you, we have to read the tea leaves to understand what the future of our industry is going to look like and start making adjustments accordingly. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to get more tools in our toolbox. Guys, you got to get a non-QM lender, okay? You got to understand all the products. You need to understand all the guidelines. You have to have all the tools at your disposal to be effective if you're going to compete against these other companies. Because your understanding of non-QM or the new subprime or Alt-A, whatever the hell it is you want to call it, none of them can compete with you on this. Rocket can't compete with you on this. Zillow definitely can't. Open Door, they're hiring assembly line puppy mill shitty loan officers who couldn't hack it on their own. So no, they can't compete with you. So when you understand, and listen guys, if you've been writing loans for the last 10 years, you've been dealing with the meat and potato type of loans. Your agency, Fannie, Freddie, Jenny stuff. Your FHA, your VA, your conforming and the occasional jumbo. Like that's not being like, you don't have the products available to you that you're going to have, like that you're starting to get right now that are coming online. I mean, some of these products out there are insane. Like I'm telling you right now, Oaktree has a 85% non-owner rock, no income, no job requirement. Don't even disclose it on the 1003. And the rates on these things are incredible. And by the way, a lot of the non-QM stuff right now, they're outpricing a lot of your agency loans, especially for some of your off the beaten path, non-owner occupied, relatively high LTV type of things. So you have to have great non-QM. We need to get informed. Like for Twitter, for example, I use Twitter to follow people, to follow HUD, to follow the FHA, to follow all the directors of all the agencies, to follow the CFPB, to follow some of the great economists out there, to follow the MBA, just to follow things in the mortgage space. So every day I wake up, I'm going to all these sites and I'm finding out the latest and greatest. So Twitter is a very useful tool for me to stay informed. Facebook groups are killer. Get informed, guys. There's a lot of great information in there. Google Star News is another one that I use. Sites that I go to on a regular basis, they're all starred. I get information on them. Inman, Lab Coat Agents, Housing Wire, DS News, CNBC, Forbes, Bloomberg, the National Real Estate Post, that's us. We get it from our communities, don't we? We find out what's going on. What about your local down payment assistance programs from community redevelopment money? Shit like that. Are you following HUD? Do we know when USDA is going to run out of funds? Do we know when they're going to get refunded? Is your company going to continue funding? We have to know these things. We listen to our friends. We listen to our other professionals, not just people in the mortgage space. Listen to the appraisers out there. I know sometimes they're a pain in the ass, and they're all know-it-alls, but listen to them. Title and escrow, it's huge. Home warranty companies, just a wonderful source, an infinite source of information. Going to NAR, CAR, CoreLogic, Black Knight Financial, the MBA, the Heritage Foundation, HUD, Fannie, Freddie, Zillow Analytics. I mean, Forbes Real Estate and/or Finance. I mean, there's so many great sites. And I'm not suggesting you should spend all day doing this shit, but it should certainly be a part of your day. And then we got to start networking, guys. We got to network both personal and virtual. Now, listen, I'm all about technology. I'm all about it, but I'm all about using it the right way. If you are using technology that is automating you out of the equation, you're using it the wrong way. It needs to enhance who you are and what you do, and so you become more visible. Because in a normal market, if you're closing 7 or 10 deals a month, you're a kicking ass. And this will get you closer to it. So network both personal and virtual. Your church, if that's your thing. Games. I go actually, so my daughter's dating one of the boys on the Vaca High baseball team. So good kids. And so I got to know like a bunch of these kids. My girls and her friends all play volleyball. And they were friends with a bunch of the boys who played baseball. So I love baseball, and I like minor league baseball. I do. Going to the Giants games in San Francisco is fantastic, but it's a pain in the ass. Going to the AAA affiliate in Sacramento is way easier. You get great tickets, and I just get to watch a great baseball game. So I started going to the high school baseball games and just got an absolute kick in the ass out of the whole thing. It was super, super fun. And then you start to get to know all the other parents and people out there. Again, it's just what is your personal ecosystem? What is your micro? Your micro is going to look different than my micro. But we need to understand and be much more aware of our surroundings if we're going to be successful in our endeavors to make the transitions that we're going to need to make to, one, deal with a market that's starting to slow down, And two, deal with these companies who are going to be charging at you harder than ever in the coming weeks, months, and years. Masterminds are great. Local first-time homebuyer seminars. Guys, local home selling seminars is also fantastic. Start talking with a bunch of your local real estate agents. Newsletters is a really cool thing. I got a friend of mine, Tony Ray. I think I've talked about this before. He's been doing a newsletter down in Tucson, Arizona for years, and he gets a shit ton of business from it. But he'll sit down, he writes it out. It's just a two-page thing, and he mails it off. And he always does it on yellow paper. Why? Because that's what Amazon packages come in, and everybody's happy when an Amazon package shows up. So he does his yellow like Amazon. Is it effective? I don't know if that's effective, but here's what it is. It is well thought out and well conceived and considered, isn't it? That's where his headspace is trying to find the minutia, trying to find a way to split the hairs, to make things more personal, to make things smaller. And that's where your headspace needs to be. Who do you eat with? I actually did this presentation and I said, who do you eat? And everyone started laughing. I'm like, why the hell is everybody laughing? Oh shit, I didn't mean it. Where do you eat and who do you eat with? Where do you shop? Where do you get your nails done? What about your hair? My barber's around the corner, they're killer. Where do you bank? I know everybody at my bank. By the way, I know the loan officer at the bank. And there are certain loans that he does better than I would do. And there's certain loans I do better than he would do. And that would be a great referral partner. Who do you get boozy with? Where do you coffee? Who do you coffee with? Who do you dance with? Where do you walk your dog? Where do you walk? Your neighbors, where do you play? Where do you ride? Just all these type of things. This is a way to get personal and network, okay? Understanding your ecosystem and being aware of it is massively impossible, and this is how we win. Guys, Facebook groups, we've talked about this ad nauseum. So as we're looking here, this is in Roseville, California. There's 50 billion groups on social media in any community anywhere. And look at some of the numbers here. These are all databases that I get to tap into if I choose to. This would be an example of me staying small, staying micro in my own ecosystem, but leveraging utility to highlight who I am and what I do. These are all databases. That first one's Dads of Rockland. There's 2,000 members in there. That is 2,000 people that do not know Brian Stevens. They don't know that I write loans. They don't. They might get stuck with one of these dipshit companies out there because they think technology is better, faster, and cheaper. But if I can Trojan horse or infiltrate this group, maybe I can start quietly and subtly messaging that, hey, listen, I know they're seeing a lot of commercials during these NBA playoffs about these companies. I just want to let you guys know that the rates they're charging and the service that they're getting is not going to be nearly as good as what you're going to get working with somebody who's local. And oh, by the way, when you work with somebody who's local, we keep money in our communities. We don't strip mine communities of our wealth. If I go down the upper right on the second page, the second one over there on your right-hand side, Rockland, Roseville, Lincoln, buy, sell, trade, advertise, garage, and yard sale. 14,000 people. That's a database of 14,000 people that does not know who Brian Stevens is or what he does. This is how I stay small and use technology to leverage my benefit. And by the way, it doesn't cost me a damn dime to do, and I don't need to sit here and spend hours and hours on Facebook. In fact, what you should do is quit looking at your friends on Facebook or your friends on Facebook and all of them having a perfect life and pissing away your time, and start looking at increasing your database with people who don't know you in some of these strategic groups. And by the way, does every good-looking 25-year-old girl do they all have to go to a beach and do a yoga pose? Do they all have to do? If you're 25 or 35 years old, do you have to go to the beach and do a yoga pose? Is that the required picture to be a gal on Facebook? Is a yoga pose on the beach?
Well, especially in winter when it's cold and they say, "Oh, just flashback Friday from this summer."
Oh yeah, exactly. And then I can picture her boyfriend taking the picture of her, just rolling his eyes, just hating it. God damn it! No, let me see. No, that one's not good enough. Let's do another one. Yeah. Every one of their boyfriends is like, Jesus Christ, just get me the hell out of here. I'll tell you what, if you're going to sit around and take pictures of your girlfriend doing yoga poses on the beach, that guy's going to go to a local bar and get tuned up before the night's over, and she's going to have to put up with it.
She should wait till he catches a fish. If he's fishing, she should wait.
Exactly. But anyways, this is a better use of your time, is going to some of these groups. Increase your database, increase your visibility in your community, in your ecosystem. This is a way to go micro and fight off those who are going macro. It's cheap, easy, and free. You can always open your own Facebook group. It's super easy to do, and Facebook will actually even show you how to invite people there. Okay, they'll get people who are currently in your ecosystem and invite them there. This is a group. I spoke with a gal who put this site together, and she has 2.4 thousand members in here. These are all small communities. This was her response to the whole COVID thing. Okay, well, it's really interesting if you go to this site. Is she doesn't have to seed it or feed it information anymore for it to exist. The 2.4 thousand members are going there and participating and creating the content in order to make this site go. It's become self-sustaining. But as the admin or the creator of this, it gives her enormous influence on Solano County small businesses. She can shoot a video and pin it at the top and say, hi, my name is Allie. I'm a real estate agent over here. This is what I do. I work in Napa. I work in Solano County. I'd love to help you with this. I'm also a small business, and anybody feel free to give me a call. She's getting the databases of all those 2.4 thousand members. And by the way, most of those are small businesses which come with their own database. So the influence is huge. Again, it's free. Now, if you don't know how to do it, there's this thing called Google. And Google, all you have to do, or if you don't like to read, you can go to YouTube, also owned by Google, and say, how do I create a community page on Facebook? And somebody's there will walk you through this thing click by click. Content is king. Shoot a video, write a post. Don't ever miss an opportunity to brag about your clients, your community, your friends, your grandkids. Not your kids. Don't brag about your kids. Nobody cares about your kids. Grandkids, yes, not your kids. Every time you close a deal, you should be shooting a video and sending it out there and talking about how great the real estate agents are and talking how much you appreciate your clients, and tag them. Tag them all. Tag them every time. They'll share it. And when you shoot live videos, I mean, on this stupid thing that I did, I got 6 shares on here, okay? This one, I got 31 shares on here. This one, I got 303 shares on here. How many views are those? That's a lot of views. There's 303 people who shared this on their timeline, and it gives me an opportunity to access all of their databases. Why wouldn't we do this on a regular basis? It's too easy not to. Bragging on your clients. Talk about what's going on. I mean, you can do it. By the way, I find this kind of funny. I got 303 people to share a video of me with Johnny Cash flipping everybody off in the background. Analytics, post engagements. How many people are we reaching? This is just one example. This is all free advertising. I had 16, this is just on Facebook, 16,696 people and growing on that one post. Here's another thing that we can do. Right now, you are currently watching me on this thing called Streamlabs. And here's kind of how you set Streamlabs up. And what it allows me to do is syndicate to multiple Facebook pages, which I'm doing. Syndicate out to my YouTube page, which I'm doing. And a multitude of other free video hosting and streaming sites. And so I shoot one video, and it gives me the ability to go ahead and edit my video. That's what we're doing right now. You're watching an edited video through Streamlabs. Oh, by the way, it's also free of charge. So, if you guys would like, I'm going to be doing a deep dive here. I'm going to be doing it Wednesday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on how to put some of this stuff in motion. So if you would like, and it's free, hey, listen, there ain't no secrets I'm not willing to share. If you'd like to learn how to do some of this stuff and learn how to have a micro approach in a quickly and ever-changing macro technology world and kick its ass, kick it right in the teeth, I'll help you do it. All you need to do is text CAMP. That would be because I was just down in San Diego speaking at CAMP, the California Association of Mortgage Professionals. By the way, great turnout, super, super fun. That was really cool. And if you ever get a chance to go to San Diego, I'll tell you this, I'll take San Diego over Hawaii tomorrow. It's like Hawaii, but things are cheaper and it's not humid. And I'll tell you, San Diego's grown up. Anyways, text CAMP to 855-952-3851. And this upcoming Wednesday, which is just 2 days away, we're going to be doing, it's probably on Zoom. I don't know if it's GoTo. It's probably Zoom. GoTo feels like an 8-track tape. You know, GoTo's like using your CD player today, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have a Zoom. It'll hold, I think, up to 1,000 people. It's going to be full. So see if you can get in there. Camp 855-952-3851. All right. Now, with that said, my friends, here we go. Back to just normal Brian. Isn't this kind of neat, though, how you can go ahead and actually produce your Facebook Live and have a multitude of different syndication capabilities, all free of charge. It requires your time, your intellect, and your intestinal fortitude, that little gumption thing that makes you kick ass. So I hope everybody enjoyed this today. Sharing is caring. Hit the share button.